In tonight's breaking news, Austin is going to be showing you how to wear a suit. Nah, I'm just kidding. I just feel like a news anchor in this thing. Guys, in general, like to be casual. You know, we like to take it easy. We just want to feel comfortable with whatever we're wearing. But chances are there are occasions that you are not going to be able to escape in your life where you will have to don more formal attire. More specifically, a suit. Now you were probably wondering why Austin was all dressed up in a suit today. I mean, was he getting married? Did he have a court order? Luckily the answer was no to that last one. But in today's full video, I thought it would be better to show you guys as opposed to just tell you guys the 10 rules that I have that every man should know and follow for wearing a suit and wearing a suit properly. I'm a business major. I had to wear a suit multiple times almost every single week while I was going to school. I had to wear a suit during presentations, interviews, job interviews, mock interviews. Even in high school, I was in JROTC and I had to wear very formal attire at least once a week. And then you had to deal with military regulations and stuff like that, and I'm not gonna get into. But the point is, I know my way around a suit, and I know specifically how a suit should fit you, the things you need to look out for, the styling choices you make. So without further ado, let's just dive right into them. So the first thing you're going to want to watch out for is the buttons on the jacket of your suit. Whether you have a 2-button suit or a 3-button suit or even a 4-button suit, the last button, the bottom button, should always be unbuttoned. Whether you're standing up, whether you're sitting down, the last button should always be unbuttoned. Otherwise the suit's almost going to look too tight, maybe even restricting, and you don't want to be looking like you're packed like a sausage, you know what I'm saying? Alright, and in that same vein, rule number 2 is that your buttons should always be unbuttoned, every single one of them, when you're sitting down. And this is for the same reason. When you're sitting down, chances are you're leaning over just slightly, which will push your suit up. For example, if I buttoned this top button here and I sat like normally, you can see it's kind of weird. The suit, the jacket specifically, is bowing outwards. That's because I'm leaning over. The material is bunching up and you don't want that. It's not a good look. Unbutton the suit jacket, it will lay formally and casually. You're good to go, you look fine. Number 3, and something I can't really show you with this suit, at least because I don't have a corresponding pocket square, but pocket squares, handkerchiefs, whatever you like to call them, they should contrast the suit's color. If you have a dark colored suit, or really wherever you're putting that pocket square, whether it's a shirt or anything like that, the pocket square should be on the opposite side of the spectrum. If this is a dark navy suit right here, I should have a lighter colored pocket square. And if I had a lighter colored suit, then I should have a darker colored pocket square. Things start to look really off when tiny little details about your suit like that are almost matching, but not perfectly matching. And that's often what happens when you try and get too close to a color or a luminance level like dark or light to the suit that you're wearing. Which brings us to number 4, and that is the same vein. Your tie should contrast with your shirt. Now, there may be some exceptions out there for some really muted colors or really general colors like maybe white and light silver or light gray, or maybe black and dark gray or something like that. But generally it's best to have a tie that really contrasts with the shirt so you can get that form factor when you've got your double-breasted jacket on and you can see exactly where the tie is in relation to the suit. It just gives you a lot more of an identifiable, really authoritative look. All right, and tip number 5, and this one is probably the most controversial one here on the list, and that is this. You should not wear a sports watch or any kind of diving watch. I swear if you wear a G-Shock with your suit, I will find you. But generally the formality of your watch should be very formal, it should be minimalist, and it should be classy. That's really all it should be. A diving watch is not exactly a classy formal watch. It's more sportswear. For example, with this suit, I don't know if you can see that, but there is the watch I'm wearing. Some people may find it perfectly acceptable to wear a diving or a sports watch with a suit, and that's why I say this is a really controversial point, but just stay away from those super sports watches. I'm talking your Casio G-Shocks, I'm talking Armatron watches, stuff like that. Just keep away from those. Keep away from those if you're wearing a suit. All right, and the next rule on the list, rule number 6, is no baggy pants or jackets. Baggy pants and jackets just really ruin the overall form factor of a nice fitting suit. Now, I'm not saying you have to have a super slim, modern fitting suit, something that hugs you too tight or is uncomfortable. Not at all. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is you want to avoid looking like you are literally swimming in your jacket, in your pants. You want to make sure your jacket fits in the shoulders and the chest specifically, because then everything else generally falls into place. For example, if you were to button up your suit jacket, and guess what? This actually is the same rule I use for test fitting leather jackets when you go buy a leather jacket. But if you're test fitting a suit jacket, what you want to do is button up the jacket. All right, leave the bottom button unbuttoned, obviously. That's rule number one. You want to wear the jacket like normal, stand up straight, and see if you can make a fist and stick it into your coat jacket. It should be snug, but you should be able to do it. Generally, there should be about 3 inches of space between your chest and the jacket if you pull your jacket away from your chest. Any more than that, and it might be a little too large. And like I said, this is the same rule I use for testing leather jackets out there, and it has always served me well in finding a leather jacket that's fit. When it comes to your pants, you want to make sure your pants have a nice taper to them. Not something so tapered that it'll completely touching the circumference of your leg too tight. That's not a good look. Just make sure that your pants are long enough to cover at least your ankle so that your skin doesn't show if you're wearing any kind of shorter socks or anything like that, and make sure that there is a taper, a noticeable taper that gives your legs some form factor. Fitting at the waist should be obvious. It should fit you at the waist with minimal help from a belt or suspenders. All right, now tip number 7 is to match your leathers. Chances are if you're not using suspenders or anything like that, then you're using a belt. If you don't have a belt or suspenders with a suit, something's gone wrong and you should get one. When you're wearing a suit, you really can't wear much but leather, or at least simulated leather shoes. Those look best, they're most formal, something shiny, simple, sedated, classy. So when you're wearing those shoes, you need to choose a color that first of all complements the suit, and then you need to match the leathers that you're wearing. You don't want to wear a black leather belt if you're wearing brown leather shoes. It's not going to work. The only exception that you may have is if you don't have a different leather band for your watch, if you're wearing a leather band on your watch. For example, my watch band, it's supposed to be really dark brown, but it looks almost black, and so I would consider that kind of a small breach of the code, you know, especially because I'm wearing brown leather shoes and a brown leather belt. But it's not gonna matter too much with a watch band, especially if it's going to be hidden a lot. But keep in mind that you do want to match the type of leather, the tone of the leather, and the color of the leather as closely as possible with whatever you're wearing. Okay, and tip number 8 I have for you guys today is that your tie, and this is honestly a really hilarious tip, because when it goes wrong, it's really noticeable and it's really funny. But your tie should always be the right length. You want the end, the very tip end of your tie to end at the top of your belt buckle. Or if you're wearing suspenders, for example, you want the tip of your tie to end at the top of the beginning of your pants, or just above the button on your pants, okay? If your tie is too long, it'll peek out underneath your coat when your coat is buttoned up, and that's not a professional look. And if your tie is too short, I mean, does this look right to you? Come on. All right, and tip number 9 I've got for you guys is that suspenders and a belt should be mutually exclusive. You should not be wearing both suspenders and a belt. The whole reason for suspenders or belts was to replace the other one and to just keep your pants from falling down. That's all. Also, if you have suspenders, try and keep the color matching the leathers. Then it creates this really cohesive look that really kind of ties everything together. And because a belt and suspenders are kind of interchangeable that way, it works the same way as if you had a belt, which you want to match to your shoes, obviously. All right, suit rule number 10 is that shirt cuffs should be visible from your jacket sleeves, okay? Your cuffs should be visible up to about 1/2 inch to maybe even an inch, that might be pushing it, outside of your jacket sleeves, okay? This is a good way to tell if your shirt actually fits you or not. The sleeves should be long enough to be visible when you're casually wearing your jacket. You see like that? I've got maybe 1/2 inch sticking out on either side. That's a good thing. That's what you want. Okay, and I forget whether that was actually 10 tips or if I missed one, because I just kind of remembered the list in my head. But if I did, then here's a bonus tip for you. Let's just call it tip number 11, or bonus tip, whatever. Wear an undershirt in most occasions. If it's the perfect temperature outside, and it's gotta be the perfect temperature outside, you may not need to wear an undershirt, and here's why I say that. If it's too cold, you're gonna wanna wear one anyway, because it'll keep you warm. And if it's too hot, you're gonna wanna wear one because it'll keep the sweat and the perspiration away from your shirt here, your actual shirt that people see. Now, I'm sure most of you guys realize that suit shirts, okay, dress shirts, aren't exactly the thickest, most absorbent material. And because they aren't that way, and because most of them are actually really light in color, it's so easy to see with any kind of perspiration or sweat or anything like that, stains happening. And it's never a good look, especially if you're in a super formal occasion. Maybe you have to take off your jacket for a dinner or something like that. You do not want to be the person that takes off their jacket to display huge underarm stains. It's not gonna happen. And even worse, imagine if you were like on a date or something, that would just be bad. So wear an undershirt that's preferably the same or a similar color to the shirt you're wearing on top. That way nothing is possibly showing or clashing with each other. Let's say you're wearing a black undershirt and a white overshirt. Things tend to show through white pretty well, and that black undershirt is not gonna fit really well with that. So these were just some super quick tips, the top 10 rules I've got for you guys that I just kind of came up with from my experience wearing suits. If you follow all of these rules, I guarantee you will find a suit that fits you amazingly and you can rock it when you wear it. So if you guys like this video, please hit like and subscribe. We've got a ton more videos coming out for you. If you guys have topics that you really want to know about, we're always searching for topics to talk about, you guys. Just let us know in the comments. Hit that like and subscribe button. Do it for me. Do it for the suit. Do it for the knowledge that I just dropped on you guys. Follow Volt Grooming on Instagram, Facebook, or just sign up to our newsletter. We've got links in the description for all that stuff. Just want to say thank you again for watching. I will see you in the next video.